I don't often get hyped for movies, but I make an exception for the BioShock movie, and anybody that has ever played a BioShock game probably knows exactly why. BioShock is a series that is just absolutely fantastic. It's very mysterious, it's got great lore, and a movie would just be so great. I think it has the potential to blow up in popularity, kind of like the Fallout television series did just very recently. Now, maybe you didn't know that a BioShock movie was in the works, and maybe that was because there was actually an attempt to make a BioShock movie about a year after the first game came out, and that project was unfortunately scrapped, so maybe you just haven't been paying much attention. But about 2 years ago in 2022, Netflix announced that they are going to be doing a film based on BioShock. Now, the producer is Roy Lee. Now, I'm not very familiar with him, but the film is directed by Francis Lawrence. Now, this is the director of the Hunger Games series, so obviously he knows his way around directing a good movie. So yeah, there hasn't been much that has really been announced in the last 2 years about this movie, but the streak of silence has ended. This all happened at San Diego Comic-Con. So the producer, Roy Lee, was there and he was talking about the BioShock movie. Now, the news that he shared is very unfortunate on the surface for the BioShock movie. So that news is that unfortunately Netflix has decreased the budget of this BioShock film. He says that there has been a recent change in leadership at Netflix that has resulted in a new sort of regime, and this has essentially decreased their budget. Now, he also said Netflix has a new compensation model, which basically says that the more views a movie or TV series gets, the more money their team gets. Now, I have no idea why that has not been implemented in the past. That kind of sounds like common sense to me. But overall, he said that because of these new changes, and especially because of this smaller budget, he has said that the result of this is that they're going to take on a much more personal point of view for the BioShock film. He said it's just overall going to be smaller in scope, as opposed to, quote, a grander big project. Now, so like I said, that on the surface does not sound good, but many have pointed out, and I actually agree with this could actually be a very good thing for the film. Now, don't get me wrong, a lot of good can obviously come from having a bigger budget, but sometimes films can lose track of their goals and the sort of path they want to stay on when they have a bigger budget. Things can get kind of carried away, and the ideas you started with could just end up being left in the dust, and you could end up with a project that is much different than the one that you started with. And I also compare this to the fact that this is BioShock. This is not like a huge Gladiator movie or, you know, an Avengers style movie. This is, according to Francis Lawrence, the Hunger Games director that is going to direct this movie, this is supposed to be a faithful adaptation of the original BioShock game from 2007. Now, anyone who has played that game should know that it maybe wouldn't take, you know, a huge budget to make a very good BioShock film. The whole game is basically at its core just a guy traveling in these underwater tunnels, exploring the lost city of Rapture, occasionally running into a few crazy characters. But with the film staying true to that original game, the whole thing should kind of feel isolated. Probably shouldn't have that many characters and, you know, not that many, I don't know, crazy special effects. So I think it's very cool that they are saying that, hey, we're going to now focus on a more personal point of view, as opposed to something grander, as opposed to something, well, much bigger in budget. I think that because this budget has shrunk, it's really just forced their hand to focus more on what this movie is actually about. Like I said, anybody that's played a BioShock game knows exactly what I'm talking about. I really think that this movie has a ton of potential to make it big, to really go mainstream like the Fallout series. So we still don't know a release date or anything for this movie, but because the budget has shrunk, the project might move a little bit faster now that they don't have to do as much. So maybe we'll get a release date very soon, and maybe, hopefully, with the lower budget, this movie is really going to stay true to what makes BioShock so great, and because of that, this could shape up to be a truly amazing film.